Hey guys, welcome to Real Estate with Ryan. My guest today is Karen Wilson. Hey Karen, tell me about yourself aside from real estate.
Oh, so I grew up in Calgary. I have a very varied school life. So I went to university in Winnipeg and Edmonton and Calgary. When I graduated school, I lived in Edmonton for a while before moving out to Ontario. So I've been living in Ontario for, well, ever since, long time. And I am a mom. I have a son who's now 20 and keeps me entertained. And I have two stepchildren who are 20 and 23 who also keep me entertained. And then important things like cats and friends, lots of it. So that's me.
Absolutely, that sounds great. What hobbies do you have?
Oh, I have many hobbies. I like creative things. So my job has always been on the very technical side. So in my hobby space, I like to do stuff that's creative. So I like to do landscape design and garden design. So I spend a lot of time in my garden doing plants, but creating experiences there with plants. I also like to do art. So I do alcohol ink based art, which is a form of fluid art, which is I find really interesting because you can't control it. So it's not like painting with a paintbrush or a pencil where you kind of know what's going to happen. You start, but because the ink flows wherever it wants to flow, you have to kind of be prepared to roll with whatever happens in any given piece of art. So I enjoy that a lot. And I also do other crazy stuff, that whatever creative crazy thing comes along. I love to run like murder mystery parties at my house because I love to dress up in costumes and do all that kind of stuff. We also host bands at our house, so we'll like sell tickets to our friends and have a band and like have music, like so a house concert at our house. So lots of fun stuff for kind of creative outlet around our much more technical lives.
Yeah, I actually always wanted to do like a murder mystery with some friends here. And how did
Well,
it occur to you to start investing and why did you do it?
all right. So in general, so I come from, I guess, a family of investors. So I grew up in a world where the thing that my adult relations talked about when we got together, so talking in the kitchen or talking in the living room, was about what investments they were doing. So they talked about what stocks have you invested in? Where do you think the market's going? So I heard all of that all the time as a child. So I've been investing in the stock market, let's say since I was probably as soon as I had money, let's say around like, so I started asking for those kinds of things for birthday and Christmas gifts when I was a teenager.
Hmm.
So I've had that in my life for a long time. Um, and so I have a lot of experience both with kind of much simpler products like, hey, I bought a GIC and it earns interest and like it works that way, to the stock market. And then I started getting into real estate because I really like it as a balance to my stock portfolio. So stocks are really interesting. They can go up and they can go down, but like it's can be very rapid. What I love about real estate is that it's an asset class that is, so it's a hard asset. So it grows over time. And although, sometimes things might be unstable, it never goes to zero. Like if you buy a building, you still have the building. So it might not have, it's never going to go up 200%, but it's also never going to go down 200%. So that's sort of how I got into buildings as sort of a balance to the volatility of the stock market world.
What did you buy in the stock markets? What was your frame? What was your criteria?
What was my criteria? Well, I was really interested. So one of the things you're going to find as a theme through every question you ask me about some of this stuff is I'm really interested in learning. So when I first started, I bought what my dad told me to, because I was really young. But so it was driven a little bit by my interests. So what I was looking at, and then I actually started a stock club. My sister and I put a stock club together where we would look at, like, learn how to do analysis of stocks, learn how to read like professional analysis of stocks and figure out what we were interested in. We were always looking for, both stocks we were interested in, but like we things that had good returns, that like had solid assets within those corporations, that their product line seemed to make sense, the projections made sense. One of my favorite stock purchases along the way was actually a REIT. Well, it wasn't a REIT when I bought it, it became a REIT later, but I invested in a company that puts up cell phone towers, because okay, you get paid for the cell phone tower, but it's also all the land that the cell phone tower is sitting on. So that's really what drove the value of that purchase. And it eventually, a number of years later, actually converted into a REIT, which is a real estate investment trust, in case anyone doesn't know that. But yeah, so it actually became a real estate investment over time. So, you know, lots of fun and interesting things. But always I have a view towards like, I have a real bent towards what am I going to learn as a result of this activity.
Absolutely. That was it sounds like a great plan, like a great investment.
It was.
What do you avoid when you buy, let's say, stocks at this point?
What do I avoid? I'm not trying. So I am all about long-term value. I don't have, my passion in life is definitely not following the stock market, nor is my passion. So I don't want to have to, like, I'm not on there. I'm not a day trader. I'm not interested in doing it every day. So I'm looking for value add, long-term hold stocks. It kind of translates, funnily enough, into my real estate purchases also. When you look at my real estate portfolio, I'm interested in buying things and holding them for a long period of time. I'm too busy in the rest of my life to do, like, I don't want to be focused on this every second of every day. Okay, we might say that real estate, I am focused on that every second of every day, but only because it's really interesting to me. But yeah, I'm not interested in like how fast can I turn this over, or so. I'm looking for long-term value growth in both cases. So that's one of the reasons I'm, for example, working on a Calgary new build right now. It's a buy, it's interesting, and then it will just hold and grow slowly over time. That's my thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. What has been your most successful investment so far?
Well, okay, so I'm going to call there's so many. That's super hard to choose. Okay, I'm going to pick a real estate investment though, as versus a stock investment, because I've had some of those. But like, okay, my favorite real estate investment so far was actually coming back off my fraudulent real estate experience, and I bought a triplex, which I didn't really know much. So it was I learned a ton doing it. But what was really cool about it is just how it outperformed what we thought it was going to do when we bought it. So when we bought it, we thought it was not going to make any cash flow, and we would sell it in 5 years, and that would be how we made our money. So much to our surprise, we bought it, and it actually wound up making cash flow all the time. And then we had to figure out, like, we didn't even have any provisions in our joint venture agreement of like how to like distribute cash flow to people, because we didn't expect to ever have any. So we actually had to have this sort of emergency meeting of like, hey, what are we going to do with all this money? And when we got to the 5-year mark, which is when we'd originally agreed to sell, we're all like, why would we sell this building? Like, we got money coming in all the time. Why would we sell this? So it was pretty awesome, because it was so much better than what we thought it was going to be when we first bought it. So I still have it. In fact, when I joined Wealth Genius, the first thing I did that I didn't know before that was we refinanced it, pulled everybody's original investments out so they could invest it in another building. And some of those people were my investors in the next building. So that was pretty cool.
How do you evaluate risk versus reward in a deal that you buy?
How do I evaluate it? So, how do I evaluate it? I mean, like, some of it's just the nature of certain kinds of deals. And I guess I evaluate risk on, like, I'm a big what could go wrong person. So it makes me a very conservative underwriter when I'm looking at properties. And so I would sort of describe it as like, what can go sideways while you're doing it? So I'm always looking in a deal for like, what mitigations can you put in so that if something goes strange, you still have a way out. So, for example, I was actually just talking to this about somebody a little earlier, so a new build, it's fairly straightforward, particularly if you're buying it after it's built. The builder builds it, they're taking the risk of building it, you acquire it at the point that it's finished. So you kind of know what you're buying. It's new. There's not that much that can go wrong. It's pretty steady. So like it's a big, steady, slow thing. Whereas if I look at, for example, a value add, that's a little bit higher risk because there's more things that you can't predict up front. So yeah, I think I'm going to reno this. I think it's going to take me this much time. I think when we open the walls up to do whatever, that this is what's going to happen, but you don't really know. So there's like a higher level of risk and more, and you need more exit strategies in that scenario than you do in that new build scenario I just described, because there's just like a new build, yeah, you kind of know what's going to happen, and you know it's a long-term hold, and that's where you are. The value add, now you need more exit strategies because there's more things that could go wrong while you're doing it. And then of course, like you get then a whole other flavor, which is outside of my risk profile, which is land development. Because again, there's then even more things that could go sideways as you go through that process. And so people just need to understand what they're getting into and how much, and get to know yourself about like how much risk you're comfortable with. I really am not comfortable if I say lose my whole investment. So like, therefore, when I look at land development, I'm like, that's maybe riskier than I'm really totally comfortable with. But yeah, everybody has their own tolerance for like what they can handle in that space.
Absolutely. What has been your least successful investment?
Oh,
And
that would
I would say that it would be the fraudulent one.
Exactly.
I would have the follow-up. What have you learned from it?
Okay, that's a good one. That is a great one because I actually use that, what I learned from that, all the time. So yes, you're absolutely right. My fraudulent investment was hands down the worst investment I ever made. Oh, I guess it could have been even worse because like but yeah, it was basically we lost a large portion of our money. We didn't lose 100% of our money, but like we only got some of it back to the result of a 20-year class action lawsuit. What did I learn from it? Well, for starters, if you're looking at a real estate deal where the broker and the builder and the real estate agent and say the bank are all kind of working together, and I see packages like that in the market now, you as a buyer, you need to be very cautious because you're missing the checks and balances because of those. That's how they were able to do this fraudulent thing. All those players were working together to say, oh, this building is worth this and this is what's going to happen. And the property manager was in that circle too. So there's nobody saying this is crazy. When all those people are separate in the market, if you are buying something and you go to a mortgage broker, they're going to be like, no way, my appraiser says this, or you're going to go talk to a property manager and be like, those rents are impossible. That's never going to happen. When all those people are working together, you have to be much more careful with your due diligence to avoid fraud. And I'm not saying that all people, like it's always fraudulent when you see those people working together, but you just have to be much more careful to make sure that they're really telling you the truth. So that would be my key takeaway from that. And just when something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Are you allowed to go into more fuller detail about the fraudulent deal?
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
The specifics, like what kind of property it was, the numbers.
Well, okay, it was a long time ago, so I might not remember the numbers super well, but it was a case where we were introduced to a guy who brokers deals through a person that we knew, and he put these deals together, and it was this guy introduced us to this mortgage broker, and they had some deals. So we actually wound up buying 2 brand new fourplexes and I can't remember, like a 16 or 20 unit building in Montreal. We bought the 2 new builds. We drove out to see them. So we drove by them. One of us went and did a drive-by of the building in Montreal, but we didn't do anything formal. Like this is way before I knew anything about real estate investing. So we did not have a building inspection. We were just prepared to buy these things on spec based on the information from these guys. So we basically bought those 2 buildings, which I think I lost about, I don't remember anymore. I joke about my $40,000 calculator. Because, as part of all that, I got a calculator with their like logo on the front. So I joke about that being my $40,000 calculator. So it was definitely an experience where I learned a lot, and it was an expensive lesson. But on the other hand, I'm lucky. There were people who were impacted by those guys in a much greater degree. There were people in that group of investors that went bankrupt, lost everything. So while I lost some money, I did not have all my money there. And I was young too. So it was easy for me to pick up and carry on and start again. Whereas there were people who would have been retired at that time, and that was their retirement nest egg that suddenly went away. So yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, they were good talkers, and but like I say, the fact they had all these different parties that would normally be checks and balances working together meant there was nobody to say, hey, this is crazy, like, or you can't do this. So yeah, it was interesting. I don't recommend it.
Absolutely. That sounds like a great lesson. What trends are you seeing in the real estate market right now?
Well, okay, the market that I'm paying the most attention to right now is Calgary, because I have been on a mission to buy in Calgary because I grew up there. My son is living there. I have to pay rent to somebody else, so I really would like to, own the building that he's paying, that I'm paying rent in. Like, let's not kid ourselves, I'm paying rent in. So I've been very focused on Calgary. So I can speak to sort of Calgary trends for sure, which is to say, I've seen that in the last year, things have really slowed down in Calgary, which I think is probably true in many places. All the uncertainty in like political uncertainty and like Canada, US uncertainty. Because of all that, there's a lot of uncertainty so people are afraid to buy, or afraid to spend money, and afraid to make decisions. So like to me, it's like, great, I can suddenly get a better deal now than any deal I've looked at in like the last year. I'm like, buy, because the options are suddenly so much less risky than they were 6 months ago. So that's probably what I've seen the closest right now, what I've been following the most closely.
Absolutely. So I remember your threeplex cash flow story, and this question kind of relates to it. Do you focus on cash flow appreciation or something different?
I'm looking at them all. So, I mean, I guess like, as I said, I'm a buy and hold person. So like in the new build, I'm not, so like, I want some cash flow, but you don't typically see like particularly high cash flow in new builds, because of course they cost more, but they have less expenses over time. So like those ones are more about like appreciation over time, and how will that look like in 5-10 years. The value add ones are more cash flow oriented, because they typically are something where you're trying to, I mean, you are getting that lift, but cash flows sort of seems to be a bigger factor there. The couple that I've purchased in that vein, it's about like the cash flow numbers there have been a bigger driver of those purchases. So for me, I guess it kind of depends. As long as it has, well, you need at least one of those, preferably a little bit of both, but like which one's higher, like I don't care so much about that. That's not like the major buy decision most of the time.
Absolutely. How do you handle your property management?
Oh, well, so I do all the property management for my original triplex myself. So I have a lot of experience. Well, a lot of experience. I have many years of managing that property. So things that are close to home. So I do have a number of properties in my portfolio that are within an hour of where I live. Those ones we property manage ourselves. Obviously, I also am shopping in Calgary where I don't live, in which case I will be looking for a property manager to work with in those scenarios. So it's a little bit of a mix. I'm happy with both. And eventually, let's say 5 to 7 years from now, I would probably be looking to shift my property management duties that I have to a property manager, so that I can become more of a strictly passive investor. But at the moment, I'm fairly active, and I'm pretty content to do my own property management for things that are within a reasonable distance.
Absolutely. Do you invest with partners or go solo? And what are the pros and cons?
Oh, well, okay. I'm a big partner person, actually, huge partner person. Um, why? Well, so here's the thing. So that same triplex that we talked about, when I went to buy that triplex, I was self-employed, which meant it was really hard to get a mortgage at that time. So I knew that the only way I was going to be able to buy this rental property that I wanted to buy was if I had partners. So that first one, I built my first joint venture agreement when I had absolutely no idea what a joint venture agreement even was. But what I found out when I did it was actually, it was incredibly rewarding. So like beyond just like, hey, we pulled our money together, I found it incredibly rewarding, all the different like sometimes I can pull on different people's skill sets in different situations, or different ideas come from different people. So like when you have a problem, sometimes when you talk to your partners, say, hey, this is what's going on, they have solutions that you didn't think of. So I've actually found working with partners to be, I don't know, just so much more rewarding in ways that like non-financially rewarding. I mean, like it's financially rewarding, obviously, because I can buy more stuff and buy bigger stuff. But yeah, it's just been those relationships and that sharing of like ideas and information has just been just really excellent. I would, never hesitate to build relationships, to have partners and move forward.
Do you have any businesses that support your investment journey?
Oh, investment businesses that support my investment journey. Well, there's lots of people that I work with that are key. Um, so obviously in the real estate space, it's very important to have a lot of different business people to support you, property managers, mortgage brokers, etc. So I have a team in multiple places. So I have a team that's in my local area and I have a team that's in Calgary. And then I just have other people that support me in my journey. I think probably the thing that's made the biggest difference in my journey, though, it was joining Wealth Genius. So that radically shifted my investing trajectory in real estate. So I would say that I like went from here to here, just based on the people that I met there, that I knew there, and how much that allowed me to grow my knowledge and my understanding and just connect with so many more people who were already interested in real estate.
Could you define what an asset is?
An asset is something that you hold in your portfolio that earns money, or at least has the potential to earn money. There are negative performing assets, but we would prefer positive performing assets.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll ask one more question and then we have run out of time for today. Um, is there any book, resource, or person that has significantly impacted your investment journey that you would like to recommend to me or others on the show?
Oh, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, easy. Richard Kawasaki. Yeah, that really changed my view of like what real estate meant, how to get into that. I actually owned the game Cash Flow and we've been playing the game Cash Flow, which she created with my son since he was old enough to do math. So yeah, that to me, that changed my whole view of what investing could look like. So I have one other thing I would like to tell you about though. So I'm going to steal 10 seconds at the end, which is say the most important thing that I would share to somebody is like, take opportunities to learn, whether it's reading a book, whether it's partnering with someone to do that's doing something you've never done before. Grab all those opportunities, because that is how you can grow your portfolio in the fastest and with the greatest not like, if you pick stuff for how you learn and what you can do, it grows so much faster what the next thing you can do and the next thing you can do. So that would be my thing that I would like, if I could share anything with you, that would be it. Learn everything
Absolutely.
you can.
Thank you so much for joining me on the show.
No problem.
Thank you.